You may have seen the report in the papers. It made the front pages. Britain's mosques are being subverted by extremist literature. It could hardly have been more damning or more sensitive. The reports were based upon what was billed by the think tank Policy Exchange as the most comprehensive academic survey of its kind. Newsnight very nearly joined the coverage. We were working on a detailed film based on the report. But when we were checking evidence underpinning the report, we began to worry. Richard Watson reveals doubts over the quality of some of the original research and investigates allegations that some of the supporting evidence may even have been fabricated.
Policy Exchange's report depicts a battle between fundamentalists and the reformists for the control of Britain's mosques. Extremist books preaching intolerance are clearly available in some Islamic centres visited for the report, but our research has found major inconsistencies and doubts over some evidence. This raises serious questions about the reliability of the work and research ethics amongst some of those who carried it out. The recent report from the Policy Exchange was billed as a landmark piece of work. 4 teams of 2 researchers went into 100 mosques and Islamic institutions across Britain with the aim of trying to get a feel for the kind of books on offer. Researchers gathered receipts to prove they'd acquired the books from mosques. Experts checked and rechecked translations of quotes. It was the most detailed study of its kind, and the report came to some pretty startling conclusions. In 25 out of the 100 locations, researchers reported finding extremist and separatist literature. Some of the extracts from the books were remarkable. It is mandatory to hate and dislike the unbelievers. The woman who complains against her husband every now and then is one of hell. The story made front-page news, and the Times reported that Conservative leader David Cameron was going to raise the report's conclusions with King Abdullah during his recent state visit. Newsnight too was going to run a story based on the report, and the Policy Exchange had given us a bundle of receipts the outside teams carrying out the research for them had provided to prove where they'd acquired the books. But we discovered suspicious mistakes in some of these documents and decided to hold off while we investigated further. This is the Muslim Cultural Heritage Centre in West London, where 3 key extremist books were said to have been acquired. An Arabic book called Loyalty and Enmity concerning relations between Muslims and non-Muslims states, "It is mandatory to hate and dislike the unbelievers. Actually, it is mandatory to stay away from them and to separate from them." Another book described the Jews as a people who were moulded with treachery and backstabbing. These were shocking findings because the centre has a reputation for supporting moderate Islam and interfaith work. But the mosque managers denied any knowledge of these books and are adamant that the receipt supplied by the researchers to prove their purchases was not issued by them.
Well, we don't use this kind of receipt, so definitely it doesn't belong to the centre. And I can see that the way they wrote actually the centre, the name of the centre is actually different from the way we write it. This is actually American spelling of centre.
They spell it C-E-N-T-E-R.
Actually we write it actually the English spelling, which is C-E-N-T-R-E. This person, Sheikh Ilahi, is totally, mysterious to us because he's not one of our imams here, he's not one of our employees or our volunteers or our clients or our worshippers even.
Policy Exchange told us the receipt had been acquired from someone who'd set up a stall selling books in the mosque complex. But this is hardly the same as the mosque officially approving the books, and there is no mention of any unofficial stallholder in the report, although it does say that in some cases books could have been made available without the knowledge of mosque elders. But beyond this, the director has other concerns about the receipt. Although he does occasionally allow book fairs at the centre, he says none was held on the date written on the document.
It was dated the 28th of September 2007, which is really very recent, and that was actually in the month of Ramadan, which is the Friday day. And definitely in the month of Ramadan we don't actually hold any book fairs here for the sheer, we don't have the space for it anyway. So I would be surprised. Again, I'd like to know more about the circumstances surrounding this transaction and how it happened.
Faced with this mystery, we set out to check other receipts. Several books in the report were acquired from a bookshop inside the world-famous Regent's Park Mosque. We've just been into Regent's Park Mosque to see whether the receipts tally, and in this case we bought a book called 4 Essays on the Obligation of Veiling, and this receipt does match the original provided by Policy Exchange. But as we checked others, we found some more conflicts about the evidence. The North London Central Mosque was said to have supplied a book by the political Islamist Maududi, which says jihad is now a dictated obligation. Although some in the mosque management sympathise with Maududi's writings, they categorically say they did not supply this book.
First of all, we have no bookshop at our mosque. Also, we never ever sold any books in our mosque.
So the researchers actually provided a receipt for the purchase of these books. Now, I'll show you the
I'm very
receipt.
surprised about it. Show me the receipt.
Here's the receipt. And it clearly says your logo on the top,
yes,
with the address on the bottom.
That's our logo, that's true, that's our logo, that's our address.
And your phone
But
number.
yes, anyone can do this logo and can do this receipt. It is designed on the computer.
But it says
Yes.
NLCM at the top in green.
Yes, anyone can do this. Can copy this.
You're saying
It is made on the computer.
You can see that round the edges of them.
we decided to show the receipt to Kate Barr, a registered forensic document examiner. An expert witness, she's examined thousands of documents in court cases, including some crucial to the international war crimes trials into allegations of genocide in the former Yugoslavia.
It looks to be green coloration. And when we look at it more closely under the microscope, you can see that it's not actually a true green. It's actually been made up of blue and yellow dots combining to produce the green coloration. It's being produced on an inkjet printer. It wouldn't be the norm to produce something that you're going to produce a lot of on an inkjet, simply because it's much more expensive to do. But if it was something that you were producing in large quantities, it's much more likely that you would have them commercially produced rather than like these, which are home printers.
Policy Exchange told us that the books were provided for free by representatives of the mosque on the basis that they were in keeping with their teachings. As is the customary nature of such transactions, payment for the books was made in the form of a donation to the mosque. Accordingly, it is unsurprising that the receipts provided were not official. But factual errors in other receipts are harder to explain. Researchers say they acquired extremist books from Euston Mosque and provided a receipt. The receipt gives the address as 202 North Gower Street, London, whereas in fact Euston Mosque is around the corner at 204A. We showed the receipt to the Mosque Committee. If you look at this receipt here, it says Euston Mosque at the top, and it has the address on the bottom, which is 202 North Gower Street, right? Is this your receipt?
Certainly not. This is not our receipt.
Are you absolutely sure about that?
Yes, please.
So we are very surprised. We are very surprised to see that somebody is using our name.
Does it surprise you it actually says Euston Mosque with the wrong address?
It does surprise me. It does surprise me because I've been involved with this mosque for the last 10 years and I haven't seen anything like this at all. And we can show you, we don't have our receipt books like this. And we don't sell anything. We only sell yearly calendar in this mosque and we don't supply receipt for the calendar.
We compared an official receipt from the mosque to the one supplied by Policy Exchange researchers. Here's what the document examiner said about the official receipt.
Looked up closely the one that you were given. It's a solid colour and the appearance of the printing is consistent with it having been commercially produced. It's a fairly poor quality paper and printing that would be entirely consistent with a long print run from a genuine receipt.
And the other one?
By contrast, the Euston Mosque one doesn't have any colour on it at all, and again, if we look at it more closely, we can see
stuff like dots.
Yeah, characteristic features of inkjet printing.
The address in Policy Exchange's report and on the receipt is 202 North Gower Street, London.